All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo and El Commandante, Daryl Ortiz here on, we'll call it Clash in Italy Sunday, because I keep wanting to call it Clash in Paris, because in fairness, this is the first Clash in Italy that they've done.
Yeah.
And it was Clash in Paris before, so I keep thinking, but it's Clash in Italy.
Yeah.
And Raw and
Early on a
SmackDown really were
Sunday.
just on a Sunday. Well, and it was funny because I was thinking about that. At first, I was like, did I get the date wrong? Like, usually it's on Saturdays. I know because of international tour and time changes, they do on Sundays. I also am reminded that back in the day, all the pay-per-views were on Sunday.
Yeah. I feel like an old guy when I'm like, you remember back when pay-per-views were on Sunday nights?
Sunday nights. And I was always like, man, the Royal Rumble, I'm going to be up all night and then I got to go to work tomorrow.
Imagine, okay, so imagine being back in middle school and like you got school on Monday and then you have an 8-hour WrestleMania.
An 8-hour WrestleMania. Yeah. It's like that's one of those, you don't get the day off from school the next day. It's not like, oh, our team won the Super Bowl. Let's close the schools the next day.
Yeah, I think that's
just why dealt with it.
I think that's why they switched to 2 nights for WrestleMania, because I know all the PLEs, all the pay-per-views back then were only like 2-3 hours. I think is what they were. They were like,
yeah, I think
I want to say there were 4. WrestleMania was 4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah, I think WrestleMania was like the longest. It was like 4 hours,
yeah.
And then like the Royal Rumble was usually like you had 1 hour for the Rumble, and it was when it was just the men's Rumble. You had 1 hour for the Rumble, and then they would do like a couple of title matches, and that was it. Yeah, it was pretty uneventful. But yeah, so we've got Clash in Italy today. Raw and SmackDown were really just setting the table for this. Essentially, a lot of promo packages. Like, I don't know if we needed all the hype packages. A lot of clips shown. But take us through what was, well, before we do that, I would say the most significant thing of the weekend was the AAA show.
Yes.
So
that was a great
let's talk about
show
that, Big D.
Altogether. Yeah. I mean, they had the Noche de los Grandes for AAA, which was a great show. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. I mean, you guys just go on YouTube and check it out. It is totally worth the watch. The multiple matches, title changes. Rey Fenix is the he won his title match, as did the War Raiders. I'm glad they went back to their old gimmick. They are the new tag champions. You have a bunch of title changes going on, but the biggest one was the mask versus mask match between Original Grande Americano and Grande Americano, which was Chad Gable, Ludwig Kaiser, who was going to be unmasked. And I'll be honest, I definitely was like, if they don't let Kaiser keep the mantle, like that is going to be terrible, because it started off as like a joke gimmick with Gable because they didn't know what to do with him, and he was having trouble against luchadores, so he went back to Mexico to go learn the dark arts of lucha libre, and he came back as El Grande Americano. And then I don't know if I can't remember if he got hurt.
He got injured. Remember, he had a shoulder injury and he was gone. And then it turned into, well, anybody can be it. And so they put the mask on Kaiser to kind of hold the spot,
because they didn't know what to do with him, and he ended up running wild with it. He not only did he learn Spanish very well and adopt the culture so well that he was extremely over in AAA and all over Mexico. Like, all Mexican fans, including myself, loved him as Grande Americano. So I'm like, there is no way they're going to let him lose it, because he is so over. And then a situation happened, right? In Florida, in an elevator, he got into an altercation with another gentleman. I won't even call him a gentleman, because find out that guy was being a douche.
Yeah,
he was
some
apparently
jerk who's being verbally abusive, verbally accosting Kaiser and his girlfriend, and more so his girlfriend, making references
being of Mexican descent, saying she's
being a Mexican descent,
and all this other crap.
She should be, like over the top stuff. And
Kaiser let him have it. Him.
Yeah. He did. And you know what? I'm sorry you read your mouth like that. I'm not endorsing anything physical assault, but the problem that I have is when people get uber confrontational with their words and they're trying to draw out a physical assault, and then they're surprised when one happens.
And it backfired on him, because I think he was trying to like do more harm than good, because he was just, maybe he had no idea who he was, right? But he was just being a jerk. And Kaiser like beat the hell out of him, got arrested. That was all over the media. And I thought to myself, crap. Now they're going to have Gable just take it over, because, WWE's real leery with stuff like that. Yeah. But it actually, once more details came out and they figured out, because originally the guy's story was that he's the victim because they were being overly affectionate in the elevator, and he just told him to chill out, and that Kaiser beat him up. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. And then it seems like a massive overreaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the truth came out, and then not only did the fans side with Kaiser, but he got a freaking parade and was serenaded at his night that they tried to cancel. Like, it boosted him as an individual.
it
even more.
absolutely raised his stock even higher
Yeah.
than it was. And this is
Yeah.
what's wild about it is that he had already risen so high on what was him being a placeholder for a joke gimmick.
Hmm.
And this is where I go. This is not like great WWE creative being
No.
great foresight. This was an afterthought that I will say both Chad Gable and Ludwig Kaiser took what was pretty ridiculous
Hmm.
and absolutely ran with it. And
Hmm.
Gable ran with it, but Kaiser took it to a whole different level in terms of
He
running with it
did.
and embracing it, and he built it into something truly, truly, truly special. And then I don't want to say relegated. I get why they did it with AAA, but it was like,
Hmm.
man, this is probably the best thing that's going to happen all weekend
Mm.
with the events between Raw, SmackDown, Clash in Italy. I really feel like this was the thing that had the most kind of passion and intensity and intrigue around it, with kind of all the backstory that had been built for it. That it's a shame that it didn't get featured like on the main roster stuff. Like that's really my feeling for it. But I get why, because it's the embracing in AAA that has really launched these two both. So what better place to showcase it?
Well,
So
not
I
just
understand.
that. I mean, Noche de los Grandes was in Monterrey, Mexico. So, like, what better place for him to go over, right? And then in Mexico, and the place the match was amazing. Both men got busted open. They had like a bunch of near falls, tons of interference, of course, but not in a tacky way. Like this, I'm telling you, I'll go back and watch that match. That's probably the best match. I'm gonna go on record right now and probably say that's gonna be the match of the weekend.
It will be the match
It's
of the
gonna be
weekend. There's
it's going to
there's
be very
nothing
hard
nothing's gonna
for that
beat
to
that.
phase me. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a couple matches we'll talk about later on for
Yeah.
Clash in Italy. But this was an amazing match. It was great. Both men. You have two wrestling machines in Kaiser, because people forget Kaiser can actually wrestle really, really well, and of course Chad Gable's phenomenal. Like so.
Yeah.
They just, oh my god, it was such a great match. So go back and watch it. Of course, Ludwig Kaiser ends up winning. Chad Gable takes off his mask, of course, and you love the best part, and this is why I love my people, mi gente, I love you guys, because they cheered so loud for Gable. They were chanting Gable's chanting thank you, Gable, because they know that he had brought that gimmick on and
Yeah.
Kaiser just had to pick it up because of his injury. And I think Chad Gable at the end, he said that he'll return to AAA, which I hope so, because I
I
think
hope
that's
so
a better
too.
spot for Chad Gable than in the main
Well, because
roster
they're not
than
doing
WWE.
anything with him on the main roster, and
No,
the
they're not.
problem is Chad Gable is one of the most underrated
Yes.
competitors
We
that
talked
they
about
have.
this a long time ago. He's deserving of a
He's
championship.
so good. He should be running in the title picture consistently
Mm-hmm.
because he's so gifted and he's so good. And all they've ever done is give him like garbage gimmicks to run
Mm-hmm.
with. And he's
And he
always
nails
made the
them.
most of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's always made the most of it. And this goes back to, I feel like if you're a really great wrestler, WWE does not care about you. They absolutely don't
You
care.
got to have
You
size, and that's all they really care about.
well, and the fact that Dolph Ziggler's still like over in TNA and hasn't come
Oh
back,
yeah,
and the fact that he got released at all was ridiculous.
yeah,
And
it
the fact that
was.
Matt Cardona came back and has basically been relegated to being a jobber again, which is ridiculous. Joe Hendry just kind of they
Is
Joe
there?
Hendry got himself over, and he was just kind of there, not really doing anything, being a foil to get beat up by the Vision and get hit with
Yeah,
chair shots by Austin Theory. It really is like we hate wrestling so much. We hate wrestling so much that we're gonna crap on everybody that you like and everybody that's really deserving. And this goes back to the entire tag team division and all the shenanigans with what they've done in terms of having non-tag teams carry all the titles and having legitimate tag teams get cut. It's such a shame, but this, I will say, Gable versus Kaiser is going to be match of the week. It's
yeah.
going to be,
And I
and
loved every
it should
minute of
be.
it. It was great. But yeah, so go back and watch Noche de los Grandes. It's awesome. And if you're worried about it there being Spanish commentary, they have Corey Graves, JBL on commentary for English, which is fun. It's fun to hear JBL on commentary
On
because
commentary. Yeah.
out there in Mexico, he can pretty much say whatever he wants, and he does. So I think he had mentioned, I think somebody, I forgot who it was. I'm like, I had it on. I had one of their weekly shows on, and I was kind of like making dinner at the same time. And I just hear him say, like, they're gonna get deported. I'm like, God dang it, JBL. I'm like, but he can say that. Like, it's there. Nobody
He
cares.
could say it, and
Undertaker's killing it. It's creative for AAA, so I'm happy for that.
well,
So
and Rey Mysterio is their new GM
their
in
new GM,
AAA.
hell yeah,
So he's
yeah,
the new
it's
GM
gonna,
over there, and he was in action on Monday Night Raw
yeah.
too.
Yeah, so
Surprisingly,
speaking
they
of Raw, we'll go through
yeah
that real quick. I mean, yeah, Rey Mysterio did have his match against Rusev because Penta wanted to offer him a intercontinental title match, and they had a number
yeah
one contender for the IC title. Rey Mysterio did win that one, so that was I think that was just kind of building more story with Ethan Page, because Ethan Page originally was complaining for himself, but then when Rusev walked in, he was like, "Yeah, man, they're jumping the line in front of you." Like he kind of made
Yeah.
it about, yeah. So that's just kind of developing that story. But there's a notable save there in Dragon Lee coming in, because there was a post match beat down with Ethan Page.
Yeah.
Dragon Lee comes out to save, and of course he's always like on the. I feel like Dragon Lee's also one of those competitors that's a great wrestler, and they just kind of like use him sparingly, but it looks like they're kind of putting him in the kind of on the cusp of like, or the fringe of like an intercontinental title opportunity. We'll see.
Yeah, Dragon Lee kind of hangs out there all the time though, because they did that before where he was like being mentored by Rey Mysterio, and then he just kind of
Mhm.
disappeared.
And then he was mentored by
And
AJ Styles, and they
mentored by
won
AJ
tag
Styles, and
titles.
then AJ Styles obviously retired, and he just kind of disappeared there as well. So it's and I think he's great. It's just he doesn't get leveraged and utilized all that often.
Yeah.
But Rey Mysterio now, after a surprise roll up, essentially from the Accolade, became the number one
Hmm.
contender, which
Yeah.
is fine. Not not for me. I'm not super excited about seeing that match, but Penta and him will make it great whenever it does happen. It does feel
Yeah.
like they're going to do a tag match ahead of that. You're going to get Dragon Lee and him probably taking on Ethan Page and Rusev.
Right.
like they're
More
they're
than likely.
building to that more than
Yeah.
likely.
But
The other
before that, you
notable
did have
thing,
Penta. Sorry, you had
yeah,
Penta
no,
defending
go ahead,
against
go
Javon
ahead.
Evans, and that was actually that was a great match as well. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of those matches that was really really good television. Penta actually, I wanted to go over. He had a counter to the OG cutter into a backstabber,
yeah.
and
That
then
was
hit the
great.
Mex. That was, oh my god, that was so great. And then hit the Mexican Destroyer for the pin. But yeah, but after that, something notable is that Javon Evans' frustration grows because Penta offers a handshake. Javon kind of like shakes it off, and then afterwards he tries to apologize, and Penta said, "Hey man, you're good. It's wrestling."
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. But it's like they're
Yeah.
sowing the seeds, and I'm like, don't try to do a Javon Evans heel turn at this
No.
point. Like just let. And this thing was a great match. There was like a moment where the suicide dive from Javon Evans got countered, and where he
Yeah.
just kind of tossed him sideways into the announce table, which looked gnarly when it
Yeah, it
happened. I
did.
was like, oh man, he could have
Mhm.
gotten hurt pretty bad there. This for me was match of the night,
Yeah, it
like by a
was.
long shot. And I want to say there was like a couple of like commercial breaks, which broke it up. That was like also the theme for every single match
Yeah,
on Raw and
massive
SmackDown
ad
was like
breaks.
two
Mhm.
commercial breaks. It's like again the wrestling takes a back seat to it. But this was my match, and I thought it was a lot of fun. John Evans continues to do great stuff. I worry he's falling into like the we'll call it the Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes territory
Yes.
of they're going to have him put on bangers every single week and then not really pay it off and
Yeah.
eventually give him a short title run and then
Yeah.
immediately take the like, and this goes back to people who are great workers and put on banger matches that get relegated into
Mhm.
these roles and they don't ever actually amplify them or throw them in the title picture. So I hope that doesn't happen with John Bond, but it feels like we're following that methodology a little bit here.
Yeah, I feel that might be on the horizon. We'll see what happens with him. But something I did want to make note that was a contender for me for match of the night was Seth Rollins versus Montez Ford.
Yeah, that was really good too.
That was actually a really really good match. It was just, because of course you have Angelo Dawkins wanting to use Seth Rollins to help him out against the Vision, because as we now know, Logan Paul is out with a torn tricep. He had to get
Yeah, the
tricep
snake
surgery.
bite of the Vision continues.
I know. I was about to
The
say,
Vision's
dang.
down to one guy. No, it's two. Like
Well,
now that
two,
Braun
Braun Breaker.
Breaker's back. Now that Braun
Bronson
Breaker's
Reed's going to
back.
return. I have a
Yeah,
feeling
he's
Bronson Reed.
close. And I saw some pictures, like he looks really fit. Like he looks like he's
Yeah.
dropped weight. He looks really jacked. But man, if there was ever a group that was more snake bitten by injuries, I can't think of one. The Vision's
I'm like,
always got
what
somebody out of the
what
lineup.
bad juju did they bring upon
I know. I feel
themselves?
like
Because
Danhausen needs to uncurse them. He needs to uncurse
even
them
though
like
he
he
never
uncursed
cursed
the
them, he
Knicks.
just needs to
Well, no,
uncurse them.
well, because remember he uncursed the New York Knicks, and he never
Now
cursed
they're
them.
in
He
the
uncursed.
championship
Then the Knicks are in the
against the
championship,
Spurs.
so and they like ran the table. They went 12-0 since the uncursing, and so there's something to that. So I would say Danhausen, you got to uncurse the Vision.
Well, he'll do
Whatever's
it
going
for
on
a
with
certain
them.
number of human monies, of
For
course. But yeah, so we had Seth Rollins versus Montez Ford. It was a great match. Both men are extremely talented, and it showed here. I mean, they just worked so well together. This ended because the Vision went and attacked and beat him up and all that good stuff. You had Austin Theory beat up. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. You had where is it? The ending
Yeah,
was,
well, yeah, because it was Austin Theory got basically attacked Dawkins out on the ramp and
yeah,
beat him up,
yeah,
and because he was on his revenge tour, because he beat up Joe
yeah.
Hendry. He was
He
like,
hit
I
Dawkins with the
hit,
chair, and
yeah, hit
then
Dawkins with a
it
chair, and then they both
distracted
ran out.
Montez Ford, and Seth Rollins got the win because he
Yeah,
hit the stomp. So Montez Ford missed the 450 splash, which allowed Seth Rollins to pick up the pin with the stomp. So, but after that, you had them try to, like, of course they argued backstage, and now they're saying that they're going to need each other. I think they're coming around.
Yeah, they're all on
Montez
one
Ford's coming out.
page, like immediately, like, we need each other. I was like, well, this was easily resolved.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes ago, Montez Ford is like, we're never siding with you. And then he's like, this is bigger than both of us. And I was like, all it took was one chair shot to Dawkins
Yeah, because before
to
that,
to
Austin
resolve all
Theory,
this.
speaking of his revenge tour, Joe Hendry was singing Fire Logan Paul again, and
Yeah.
he's
Coming
just,
back from commercial break. So he
yeah,
started that during the break, and all of a sudden
yeah.
they're in mid-song during commercial break, and then he just attacks him. And I was like, Joe Hendry can't even get to start his segment on TV. They just had it long enough for him to get beat down by Austin Theory in a chair, which I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, come
that's
on,
really because
guys.
that's really all they needed him for,
Yeah.
unfortunately. After that, we had Bailey and Lyra Valkyria versus Judgment Day, which was Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, with Liv Morgan eventually getting ejected again after multiple interference attempts. Bailey picked up the
Yeah.
victory on Roxy, and it just, I hope that they're finally now bringing Bailey around, because now she's in a triple tag. She's in a triples team on AAA, which, I mean, I feel like now WWE is going to utilize AAA as like almost like an NXT, like
Yeah.
a slight, like, you know what I mean? And they were like, if they're not using you in the main roster, they're going to slide you over. But a lot of people are doing better in AAA, so we'll see how that works. But
Yeah.
we had Liv Morgan again being ejected because she keeps trying to cheat and gets caught. And then after that, it was just a clean victory, really, on Roxanne Perez, and that
Yeah,
was
it was
pretty
one of
much
those,
it.
like, it was like this silly, like, they had a tug of war over the AAA
Hmm.
championship, and it was like, oh, they yanked the title away, and that was like enough of a distraction that Bailey got a surprise roll up, which it was
Hmm.
like two surprise roll ups in the same night. You had Rey Mysterio getting a surprise roll
Hmm.
up on Rusev. You got Bailey getting a surprise roll up on Roxanne because of a tug of war. And so it was again creative, going back to the well too much. On
Yeah,
let's just have like a silly ending. There were lots of silly endings to matches
yeah,
on both shows that I
yeah,
wasn't wild about.
yeah. But then you had LA Knight come out doing a little segment there about the bloodline, saying that he's declaring himself for King of the Ring, and then he's already saying right off the bat he's gonna go at Roman Reigns again, just completely overlooking Jacob. The fact that Jacob has a title match, I
Yeah.
guess he just assumes that Roman's gonna win, which I think Roman is gonna. We'll talk about that later, but. Jimmy Uso came out to warn LA Knight, and again, LA Knight's like, "Look, man, I like you, but let's not forget how Roman can be." And it's I don't know. I feel like this is getting kind of stale. I think they're just
It
using
is.
this for now to kind of place hold LA Knight until he's ready to face Roman. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that pays off.
Well, and I when I saw this, I was kinda like hoping, "Oh, man, I really hope they let LA Knight win King of the Ring," but I don't think they're going to.
I think that would be a great move.
It'd be a great move if they did. I don't think that they will. And here's the other thing too, like, are you gonna have Obafemi declare for King of the Ring? And if he does, he's gotta win.
He's gonna win. Yeah,
Like, he'd have to. But watch them, like, have him not even bother to d it's like, really? Like, the
he
king
doesn't
is not
need it, to be
he
honest.
doesn't need it, but you'd have to imagine if he did, there's no way that you can book it reasonably unless you're gonna have Lesnar run down and interfere. There's no way that you can reasonably have him lose. So it'll be interesting how they work this out because he declared, then on SmackDown, Trick Williams declared. So those are the only
Hmm.
two that have declared for King of the Ring so far, and it starts on Monday. Like,
Yeah,
the tournament starts on Monday, so this will be interesting.
so we'll see. But after that, our main event segment, that's becoming a trend now. Instead of having main
Yeah.
event fights, we're having main event segments. We had the tribal combat contract signing. Adam Pearce was reluctant to let them go out there, but Roman said, "No, Jacob knows the rules. We send the contract. He knows that we don't touch each other until the
Yeah,
thing
there's a
will
blood
respect
oath. We
it."
can't touch each other due to
Yeah,
blood. And he was like,
yeah,
all right, you got it. And then
yeah.
last minute, it's kind of like,
Which was kind of awkward to hear Adam Pearce
it
say,
was
but
it was super awkward. I was
it's like your
like,
teacher trying to sound cool and like use your
yeah. He's
slang.
like,
Like that's a
all right, whatever you say. And it's like, get the heck out of here, Adam. Come on.
oh, geez. But yeah, so after they pretty much just talked some of the notable lines of Jacob had to tell him he's not like anyone else. He tells Roman that he's ready to take the bloodline in a new direction. He wishes WWE luck if he somehow loses because they're going to need it. They stare each other down. Just tension really was carrying the moment. Again, they didn't brawl, they didn't fight, but I think this did serve its purpose. I don't think we needed another brawl. I don't think we needed a pull apart issue. I think we
Yeah.
just needed them just understanding, because I mean they're trying to elevate the weight of tribal combat, because of course the stipulation being that if Roman wins, then Jacob Fatu joins his bloodline and acknowledges him as tribal chief. So
Yeah, and he has to
it's
serve him at this point if he
yes.
does. But yeah, and it was fine, and we got a video package for it again on SmackDown to remind us about it too, which
Just
was
in case you forgot,
interesting.
in like
In
4
case,
days.
in case between shows you forgot what the stakes were. And SmackDown, they were officially on the European tour for they were in
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona, and this one was a lot of table settings. So the whole opening segment was Jade Cargill and her cronies down to basically make fun of Rhea, and then Charlotte and Alexa showed out, and everybody jawed, and then Nick Aldis decided to make a match between Alexa Bliss and Jade Cargill just because, and which started during the commercial break,
Yeah,
which again I hate.
I
We had to
love when
endure
they do that.
20 minutes of promos before this. It was 20 minutes of promo and setup. And then, all right, the match started while we were in commercial because we got to pay the bills now. And there was a second commercial interruption. What we got to
Mm-hmm.
see was fine. The match was okay. Jade did hit the pump kick, and the Jaded won clean, which really wasn't needed. It was like, oh, you're gonna job out poor Alexa Bliss like this, who I like a lot. And then afterwards, she grabbed a steel chair to take out Alexa, and then hit the Jaded on the chair. It took Charlotte and Rhea a very long time to return because I guess they had a brawl that carried them backstage with
Mm-hmm.
B-Fab and Meech, and then they just had very, very slow walked their way back down to the ring.
And it's funny because
Paul
Charlotte
Alexa
had
getting beat
nerve to
down.
get mad at Rhea. I'm like, dude, you left too.
Yeah, well,
That's
you
your
left too,
partner.
and you both came down at the same time, so it
And she's
wasn't
like, what
like
did you
you beat
do?
her
Like,
down to the
dude,
ring.
you
Like,
left
hey,
too. That's your partner.
what happened? Well, what took you so long? I was like, you guys were literally slow jogging beside each other, so you're both at fault here. So this one was like fine, but not totally necessary. Again, I think it reinforces that Jade's gonna lose because she's been on this win streak heading into the Clash in Italy. And then you had a Danhausen sighting, more shenanigans. Kilt
That was
Wilson
great.
got stuck at customs because he had too much lotion with him, apparently. It's kind of an odd thing. Miz was upset. And then you had Miz versus Axiom because it's Axiom's home country. And the whole gimmick with this was the lights kept flashing and flickering and causing distractions. And you assumed that it was because Danhausen's doing experiments and using too much electricity backstage or something's going on. It's Danhausen related, but Axiom did hit the Spanish Fly. He won in front of his home country. It was a nice moment. It was cool, but just kind of the continuation of the Miz being foiled by Dano.
I do love the reasoning behind it, because they're saying it's because of all the moisture he travels with. He was unable to
Yeah,
get through customs with it, and I'm
like
like,
too
wow.
much.
And
Yeah,
but I you know what, I appreciate that they're bringing back, like, I don't want to call it hokey because it's not, but like, comedic stuff in between
yeah,
wrestling, because while they're having this very serious conversation, because the Miz is clearly upset that his mentee is not there with him to watch him, and that was his reasoning, right? He's like, he's not here to watch, like, why do I have to wrestle and this and that? But the whole time he's doing that, before that happened, they were telling Danhausen to not be doing his experiments because he's
yeah,
draining the electricity. But then, like, while they're having that conversation, you see Danhausen in the background, like grabbing item by item, just kind of like,
yeah.
walking around, like lifting, like pretending stuff's heavy. Like, I loved it because it wasn't distracting, but it was so subtle, but it was so funny. It just helped so much because you just see him reloading his lab piece by piece by piece, and then like a jar with poison, he just like walks into the.
Well,
It's so good.
Danhausen, he gets these little windows of opportunity to do stuff, and he makes the most of it. Like
Well, yeah.
the stuff that he does is always great. It's a lot of fun. And then you had after this, you had Sammy talking to Comatose Gargano, which they've got to stop this thing with Johnny Gargano's back to just being a corpse laying there.
Mm-hmm.
Continues to get disrespected. And then Matt Cardona came out and jawed, and they got a match later. Is what it was going to be Sami Zayn versus Matt Cardona. And then you had Damian Priest and Royce Keys taking on the MFTs after our Truth arranged that. It was Talatonga and Tamatonga that were representing for the MFTs. During the match, Solo hit a Samoan spike on Damian Priest, and the ref wasn't looking, basically. Then our Truth ran down to help, and then Tala ended up choke slamming Priest and got the win. It was fine. It was just kind of like it's giving everybody something to do here,
Mm-hmm.
kind of building towards the MFTs trying to get the tag titles. Which I'm not sure if
Yeah.
they got something scheduled at this point. I don't think they have anything booked as far as like an actual tag
No,
match against for the titles yet,
no,
because
not yet.
technically our Truth hasn't been medically cleared yet.
Yeah, that's why he recruited Royce Keys to help. And there was a moment there where I thought Royce Keys was going to turn on Damian Priest during the beatdown, but he didn't. So that was cool. But yeah, it was all right. I mean, nothing
Yeah, it was fine.
flashy
It checked the
about it.
box. It was they're trying to fill 3 hours. Trying to
Yeah,
fill
they made it
3-hour
to a
show.
3-hour show. They're like, "Oh crap, we got 3 hours to fill."
Yeah, we got 3 hours. Let's get something for these folks to do. Speaking of something for folks to do, you had Sami Zayn versus Matt Cardona next. There was another long commercial break in this one, and surprisingly, Sami hit an exploder and a haluva kick and one clean over Cardona.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
not
like,
surprising because it's Matt Cardona, unfortunately. And I
yeah,
love
I
Matt
mean,
Cardona. He's such a great talent, and I hate that they just it's like they're
well,
punishing him for
Matt
leaving
Cardona
and
and
becoming king of
Chelsea
the indies.
Green, Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green continually just do whatever's asked of them, but it usually
Mhm.
involves them getting exploited or having to put other people over, which is unfortunate. It's like it's one thing to be a team player; it's another thing where they're just continually just disrespecting these two, which it kind of is what it is. But yeah, this one that was the best match
Mhm.
so far for the show, but not match of the night. That was the runner up. After this, you had Trick Williams and Little Liati came out and did a promo. And the long story short, I mentioned earlier, Trick Williams, he's declaring for King of the Ring.
Yep.
And then Carmelo Hayes came out to Jaw, but he also had a match against Ricky Saints coming up. So it was coincidental that he's coming down to Jaw with and cut a promo. And then he said he would take care of Ricky first and he would take Trick's US title. Is what Carmelo said. You had Ricky Saints out to interrupt and he jawed some more too. And then you had Ricky Saints versus Carmelo Hayes, which started during the break
Mhm.
again.
Yeah.
Which this is one of the more blatant shows of, wow, you really don't care about the wrestling at all, do
Mm.
you? Like every you're spending so much time on promos, so much time on backstage segments, so much time on video packages that the wrestling becomes an afterthought. So it started. Well, what we got to see was really great. This felt like for me was my match of the night. There was a second
Yeah.
long commercial break as well, but it was really good. The finish was terrible because it ended in a double count out,
Yeah.
where Staines was attacking Mello and Mello hit the first 48. And then they ended up outside of the ring and just didn't make it back into the ring. Like Mello kind of realized, oh shoot, I need to get back in the ring, and then just missed the count by a second. It was just a poor finish. It was a great match, but
Yeah.
it was a poor finish, too many commercial breaks.
I agree. I really do. I think of course, after the match, Ricky Saints, pitched a U.S. title shot to Nick Aldis. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think I hate the double count out deal,
Yeah.
especially because one person clearly could have just rolled back in and rolled back out. Like, and it would have been different.
You're not going to convince me that Carmelo doesn't have the ring awareness to get back in there sooner.
Right. And I was gonna say it would have been different if let's say they would have brawled outside and one of them would have hit like a move through the announce table, right? Like a high stakes move. Okay. They're both trying to regain their wits about them to go into the ring and they just didn't do it in time.
Yeah.
That I'm cool with. Like, okay, that works. But when one
Yeah.
person's clearly just beating down and the ref's counting and you have
Yeah. Very
commentators who are in
loudly
front of you.
counting.
Well, not
Yeah.
just that. You have the commentators in front of you that are saying, you're at 9, and like he's just like, oh, and it's like, no, like,
Whoops. And then he just
yeah,
rolled in
no,
like a
like
half
I just
second too
I
slow.
can't. I don't like that. I don't like that. Like I said, it would have been different if it would have been like a big move that would incapacitate both of them, and they couldn't because they were going all out.
Yeah.
Cool, but how many times
And
have we
and
seen where
and,
someone's
and I'm
beating
not a
down someone
I'm not a
like,
huge fan when they do that either, but I've seen like it's like Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed like
yeah,
crashing through something together,
yes,
and then it's like they get
exactly,
counted out. It's like, okay, like I can get on board with it. Also, because they're both gigantic, so
yeah, they
whatever
took
high
each other
impact
out.
thing is going to be worse. They took each other out. It's going to take longer for them to get back in. You're not going to tell me that two super athletes that aren't really beat down can't figure out that with everyone counting in their face and making a big deal out of it, can't figure out to get back in the ring to reset the count.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen it where like someone's getting beat down outside the ring and the ref's on 8 and they just like roll in and roll back out and then
Yeah,
continue the beat down? Like
and
it
they keep
takes you
going.
like 2 seconds to like break the count and then go back
Yeah,
in.
but
Like I don't.
this is
Yeah.
this was just the kind of lazy storytelling to help everybody save face. But and then we got to our main event, which was shockingly main event was Nia Jax versus Chelsea Green.
A
That was the main
returning
event
Chelsea
match.
Green.
A returning Chelsea Green, and it went right to commercial as soon as
Because
it
why not?
started. Because who cares? Right to commercial. And then this match ended with Tiffany Stratton running out. Nia Jax was like climbing the rope, and then Tiffany Stratton ran out and when the ref wasn't looking, hit her in the head with the title, hit Nia Jax in the head with the title, and then Chelsea Green rolled her up and got the win. And it was like, this is like a total heel tactic. It was like, what? That's incredible, brilliant move. And I'm like, why on earth would the commentary team be supporting Tiffany Stratton running out, getting interfered in a match that she has no business being a part of, using the title to take out the heel, and they're like celebrating it like it's like this is brilliant matchmaking, which is
Mhm.
what kind of Joe Tessitore tends to do all the time now, where he's like, "Oh, yeah, Tiffy took her out," and it's like, guys, Like, again, stop having faces do blatant heel stuff. Like, there's no reason that that should have happened. So Chelsea Green won due to blatant interference and cheating and blatant heel tactics from Tiffany Stratton as the main event. So I didn't like this for that reason. But what were your thoughts?
So, I mean, I feel like they probably should have formed the alliance sooner. This is what this is. This is just an alliance between Chelsea Green and Tiffany
Yeah.
Strand, because Chelsea Green obviously lost the Secret Hervis and lost everybody. So that's kind of, but I
Well, and they've
think,
done that whole like, oh, well, she thinks that they're friends now, but they're not friends. And so this
yeah,
is too much like Alexa and Charlotte.
it's like a copy paste
Yeah.
of Alexa and Charlotte, unfortunately. But I mean, it was fine, and it's funny. I will commend the commentators for noting that Nia Jax got beat on her birthday. I
Gotta
was
rub it
like,
in.
you know what? Why
You
not?
know,
Like that's
may
cool.
as
Some
well.
yeah, yeah, it's
Happy
all good.
birthday, Nia Jax.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
I
oh,
just it was fine. I mean, I think obviously this is eventually I think gonna mean that Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton are gonna become a tag team.
yeah,
Surprise, surprise. And which also means that at some point Tiffany Stratton's going to drop her title, because she's not.
yeah,
I don't think they'll make her a double champion. They
I
reserve
would
that
agree.
for specific people, and I don't think they're going to put her as a double champion. But I could be wrong. Maybe they do.
Yeah,
Who knows?
we'll see. Who knows? But so that was the main event. But the closing main event segment was Gunther and Cody Rhodes promo. And I will say this: I thought Gunther kind of owned this promo.
Hmm.
Like I really enjoyed what he did here. He basically said that Cody, it was like appropriate that Cody was the American nightmare. He was a perfect symbol of the crumbling American dream. And it basically talked about him being a Nepo baby and really being handed everything. He talks about how he's persevering and doing this, but everything is one phone call away, which is totally
Hmm.
true. It's
Yeah.
100% correct on this. And then he said that, and the crowd was applauding Gunther. So here's the funny
Yeah.
thing about this, that they weren't cheering wildly or anything, but they every time he would make a point, they were like applauding Gunther because
Hmm.
there was a lot of truth in everything that Gunther was saying. And then Cody just countered saying that Gunther wanted all the things that he rallied against, and that he was a liar, and that he was going to lose a cash in Italy. And then Gunther, which I thought was a great close, said that he wasn't a liar because he kept his promise to retire Goldberg. He kept his promise to retire AJ Styles. He said he was going to choke out John Cena, and he did. And then he said, I'm going to make another promise. I promise I'm going to choke you out and take the title tomorrow. And then walked off. And that was, for me, was great stuff. I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I would thoroughly enjoy it more if I really thought they were going to take the title off of Cody.
Yeah.
I wish they would. I wish they would have
Yeah. We need
Gunther
to.
keep his promise and choke him out.
I agree, and I feel like Cody's his banter is giving like schoolyard bully, because he was like, one of the lines he said was like, I know this isn't, the old Gunther, because if
The
it
old
was, you'd
300
be,
pound.
yeah, you'd
Yeah.
be over 300 pounds, and we'd be in a gym with 40 people. And I'm like, wow, really? I'm
Yeah.
like, just because you've never had to wrestle in a gym or a bingo hall or
Yeah. It's like I mean, let's be fair. It's like you're Dusty Rhodes kid. You got a rocket strapped to your back regardless of whether or not you deserved it. And don't get me wrong, Cody Rhodes has worked really hard and he's done a lot of stuff. But if he was somebody else's kid, he wouldn't have gotten those same opportunities.
no.
And you're 100% right that it's like goes back to like the heel Cody, where I feel like
Uh-huh.
he's been a heel this whole time. It's like you're just being like a jerk and you're being mean spirited and you're not really saying anything that's true. Everything that Gunther said was true.
Yeah.
And it
You're
wasn't even
just
said
taking
in a mean
jabs.
way. He was
You're just
just
being a
like,
bully.
"Hey, this is a fact. Let me just list out these facts here
Yeah.
about your life and about kind of your perseverance and what you really stand for and what you really represent." And it was great stuff. And then Cody just comes up. They really desperately just need to do the heel turn with Cody. It's like, just do it. And I get that they're almost kind of taking the John Cena way, where they're like, hey, he sells a lot of merch. Like, we want him to be the big hero. We don't want to upset the apple cart. Let's, with the writing, they basically just let heels and faces do whatever they want, including faces just do heel stuff all the time. But it's at some point you got to definitively make him a heel. And I wonder, is there a potential that Cody loses? Maybe Sami Zayn interfered. There's gonna be, if it does happen, it won't be Gunther winning outright. It'll be something silly like Sami Zayn, because they're still doing the feuding backstage. and arguing. And I think Cody at backstage was like, "Hey, like once I'm done with Gunther, I'm going to take care of you, Sammy." And so he's already threatened Sami Zayn. Do we get somebody returning? Do we get Drew McIntyre? I mean, they are in Europe. Do you get Drew McIntyre that comes back and returns? Like what happens here? I feel like there's an opportunity to take the title off of Cody. I would just rather have Gunther win clean and be honest, because he should be a world champion. He should, like, that guy is so good right now, and he's so over, and he's great as a heel, and he's a great worker, and he's still convincing. And despite kind of what they've done with him back and forth, and this silly stuff with having him tap out to Jey Uso, he hasn't lost any of his cred. So it's like, just let him run. Let him run.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we'll see. But that's what happened this week. So what's on the lineup for Clash in Italy, Big D? Well, I would say your thoughts: Cody versus Gunther. What do you think's going to happen?
Cody's going to retain, only because he still needs to have his SummerSlam match with CM Punk. He also needs to do because they teased that one heavily, and apparently CM Punk's been in the gym working out like crazy. So that's on the horizon. We also have him and Sami Zayn. You guys see where that goes. I don't think that happens without Cody being the champion.
Agreed.
But I feel, of course, it would be to underhanded tactics. I feel Cody's going to find some way to cheat to win. Again, just kind of doing the whole...
He's kind of a heel, but he's kind of not. He can't do whatever it takes. Easy to find, hard to beat. Terrible. Terrible.
Literally.
Literally. Roman versus Jacob Fatu.
Jacob. Really? I'm going to go Jacob, because here's the thing. Roman won at Backlash with shortcuts. I feel that was a setup, because tribal combat is the resolution. You don't have the ability to there's no DQ. So, of course, the Usos are going to interfere. But I have a feeling Jacob's going to get some help. There's rumors that Zilla Fatu is looming. Or it could just be the MFTs that maybe just stop the Usos from even going out there. Maybe LA Knight stops Jimmy from going out there and brawls with Jay. There's a lot going on, but I feel that Jacob Fatu, Roman has no other feuds, I feel, available to him right now that would actually like build up. Because if you have Jacob win right now, then that could set up a SummerSlam rematch between him and Roman. And that could be the story of the summer, of Roman trying to regain control of the bloodline. Because there's also talks that Roman Reigns is having contract negotiation issues. So I would love to see Jacob win. And I think it would be, I think this is where it's going to happen, because in the tribal combat, there's no rope breaks, no nothing. So once he gets that Samoan death grip, or the Tongan death grip in, I think it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my thing. I would love to see Jacob win, but I don't think that they're going to have Roman serve Jacob, and I don't think they're going to have and I don't think they've had him hold the title long enough. I think there'll be lots of shenanigans. Like you said, there's going to be like this whole different factors coming in to nullify interference. So whether it be LA Knight or the MFTs, someone will end up taking out Jimmy and Jay, to where it's just these two. And then that's where I think you might see Drew McIntyre. Because remember, he still has the feud with Jacob that he never got over, and he still has the feud with Roman.
That's what I'm saying. He has both. So
He has both of them. So does he come out and interfere, and he kind of turns the tide in favor of, I'm assuming he hates Jacob more right now at this point, to where he costs Jacob. And maybe that's that. Or it ends in, well, it's tribal combat. There's no DQ. So it shouldn't end in DQ. So I feel like maybe we'll see him come back just to screw Jacob one more time, and it'll be kind of weak, but it gives him an out. And we haven't seen him in a while. And I'd love me some Drew McIntyre, so I'd be happy to see him back. But I don't know. I don't know. That's what I think is most likely to happen. That Roman will retain. We'll get a surprise cameo from Drew McIntyre.
We shall see.
And then after that, well, we also have Jade versus Rhea. Rhea's gonna retain.
Yeah, Rhea's retaining. I mean, she's too over. I mean, they took this hat off of her once, and she was still over, so they put it back on her. It's too soon for them to remove it from her, which sucks for Jade Cargill, because Jade Cargill, has so much potential. But I don't see them taking the title off of Rhea. Other than the fact that because she's Rhea.
She's Rhea. They're in Europe. It's too early. That's where I feel. And then finally, Lesnar versus Obafemi.
Lesnar's gonna win. Yeah, because they're gonna have their rematch at SummerSlam in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense it does not make sense for Obafemi to beat him twice in a row.
Yeah.
So because there's no blow off match if he doesn't. So you have to imagine that he will, which is for me is the wrong thing to do. I do feel like they kind of painted themselves into the corner
They did.
with, hey, we have nobody to challenge Obafemi right now. Let's just bring back Lesnar
Well, the fact
and
that nobody
redo
wanted to
this.
challenge him in the open challenge, they're like, well, yeah, like the way they built it like that is
The way
kind
they
of like,
built it
okay, yeah,
up,
but
yeah,
who are you gonna have? Like,
yeah, you have to have a foil for him at some point.
yeah,
So yeah, I agree, Lesnar. Did any matches we missed? Is it just those four?
Becky Lynch and Sol Ruka for the
Oh,
women's intercontinental title match.
Becky Lynch. She's not going to drop it that soon.
I think Sol
And
Ruka is gonna win.
so Ruka's looked a little sloppy. I mean,
She
and
has, but I think they're gonna give it to her. I really do think they're gonna give it to her.
yeah, well, because they got to have a title change hands, right?
Hmm.
That's where I
If
go.
they don't have
Yeah,
Jacob win, it's gonna be
if
Sol
Jacob
Ruka.
doesn't win, then it'll be Sorka. Yeah, because they will have a title change hands. I can't
Yeah,
imagine because of the last PLE, no titles change hands,
yeah.
so they'll have one. They'll have one.
There
So
has to be one.
that'll be there can be only one Highlander reference since that's for Drew
Drew
McIntyre was
McIntyre's
right.
movie.
Drew McIntyre's out there shooting the Highlander remake. Great movie. I love Highlander. I haven't seen it. And the original, you've seen the original Highlander movie,
Hmm.
right? Okay, remember the original Highlander, like the opening sequence? They're at a wrestling match and it's the Freebirds.
That's right.
I was like, I was my brothers loved that movie, but they loved it even more because they were huge Freebirds fans. So the fact that
Hmm.
that match with the Freebirds is in that opening sequence where the match is happening upstairs, and then he's having to fight to the death with the guy in the parking garage. It's they would watch that scene over and over. Look, it's the Freebirds, and I'm like, yeah, it is. So I got to tell you, there's that cross synergy even now between professional wrestling and Highlander. So it's all
Yep.
good.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And on that note, that's what we got for this week, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments, whether you agree or disagree with us. We always love to hear from you. What do you think is going to happen at Clash in Italy? Leave your predictions as well. And that's what we got for this week, everyone. So I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been El Commandante Daryl Ortiz. Have a great week, everyone. See you soon.